everyone! So in this tutorial, we'll show you how to get from this to this awesome lo-fi sound. And even better, we'll get there with just one instance of Flux machine. So let's get started. First, we'll record a saw wave in our project. In Ableton, we can quickly do that with the analog software synthesizer. And when the instrument is loaded, just check that the default waveform is set to saw wave. A saw wave is great to start with because it has a lot of harmonics going on, which gives us a lot to work with. The default saw wave sounds super harsh and bright and just plain too digital. But we're gonna transform that into that sweet lo-fi sound from before. So let's go into plugins and load Flux machine on the same track as our synthesizer. And just starting off from the default state, it already adds some nice pitch modulation to the sound. Let's have a listen. Okay, so first step to make that sound more lo-fi is let's remove some of that harshness by turning up the dark slider in Flux machine. This will make the overall sound brighter and smoother. Next, let's increase the intensity of the pitch warble effect by turning up this warble amount dial here. To make this a little more subtle and just give it a feeling of kind of evolving, let's go here to the overall warble time, which will change how long the warbling takes. Let's also increase the warble width. That'll create a nice and long chorus effect. We can also play around with the instability to add a little, or if you like a lot, random variation to the sound. I'll personally just go for 100%. It'll make your audio just a little unpredictable, which is a characteristic of lo-fi music and makes everything feel more alive. Now we can also use the noise and saturation controls here in Flux machine's tone section to give it some grit and some nice distortions, which makes it more unique. Okay, last, let's add some flutter to the sound. This is a super fast modulation in pitch that you can control with the flutter amount and by selecting one of the flutter styles over here. Now this sounds a lot more lo-fi. One instance of Flux machine on a simple saw wave and we got us a sound full of character. Let's check the difference again with the intensity slider. I'd say that's pretty nice. If you're happy with your result, you can save the preset and load it into any synthesizer you'd like to use. Now another trick I'd like to show you is how to commit the sound to your audio and then use a sampler to play your sound live with your keyboard. To do that in Ableton, let's freeze the track, which will literally freeze the sound in place, and then flatten the track to commit it to the audio. That gave us an audio file of our processed saw wave. We can now take this audio file and load it into a sampler. You can choose whichever sampler you like. In Ableton, I'll just use the simpler device. Simply select your audio file and drag it into the simpler. Then, check that attack, decay, sustain, and release parameters are set for a nice pad sound. You'll get that by giving your sound a long attack and a long release. So let's try it out and play the sound live. Now this sounds like a powerful old analog synth, full of character. And remember, it was just a saw wave in the beginning, so I'd say this is a pretty great result. Now if you want to go crazy, you can load another instance of Flux machine and add some real-time modulation to the sound. Just have some fun messing around with the different presets while you're playing live. One of my absolute favorites is the Dark and Rusty preset. It adds some nice roughness to the sound and just gives it that little extra I want to have in this case. Let's have another listen. Once you're satisfied, make sure to save the sound so you can use it in any of your future projects. You can use the technique from this tutorial on all kinds of sound sources. You're not limited to a saw wave. Be creative and use it to generate your own and custom lo-fi synths for your productions. Well, I hope you learned something today. Have fun, check out Flux Machine, and see you next time in a new tutorial.